Hello, physical systems. So today we're going to talk about units, specifically metric units. We mentioned it a little bit last week when we talked about physical properties. We said like all these things like time, length, mass, weight, have these things called units. For example, units of length, we might consider to have things like inches, feet, yards, or miles. Whenever we talk about whenever we would talk about how long something is or how far something is away from us, we use units like these. These are called units. So like your finger is maybe 4 inches long. I'm just over 5 feet tall, 100 yards in a football field. I live 30 miles away from school, something like that. And then, so you guys remember to learn, you probably remember learning about these units. You might not have called them units, but you probably had to memorize some conversions. Like, for example, there's 12 inches in a feet, sorry, 12 inches in a foot. There's 3 feet in a yard. There's 5,280 feet in a mile. So why remember the feet in a mile, but not the yards in a mile? I don't know. And so we just have to remember these numbers, remember that these numbers go together. If you don't remember these numbers, don't worry about it because we're not even going to be using this system. This is called the U.S. customary system, or maybe it's also called imperial units because it's derived from when the U.S. colonies were under the British law. But even though we declared independence from the UK, we kept their units. And actually, the U.S. is only one of 3 countries in the entire world that still uses the units of feet, pounds, and whatever the other one is, gallons, I guess. But what we're going to use in this class is called the metric system. Metric system is used worldwide by scientists. So since this is a science class, we use the metric system. And it's a good thing too because metric units are a lot easier to handle. For example, here are some of the equivalents of the units that we talked about. Instead of inches, feet, yards, miles, we can say millimeters, centimeters, meters, and kilometers. And you might notice, I'm going to try to annotate this video. I'm going to do my best here. You might notice that all of these words have these meters attached to it. So we're going to talk about what these prefixes mean in just a minute. But anyway, so here's some conversions for the metric system. 1 millimeter is equal to 1/1000th of a meter. 1 centimeter is 1/100th of a meter. And a kilometer is 1,000 meters. You see that these are all multiples of 10. There's no random 12, 3s, 5,280. They're all multiples of 10s. So we always have like 1/100th, 1/10th, 1, 10, 1,000, 10,000. Very easy to convert between. And there's going to be some other videos that will give you some examples. And I'm going to do some examples in this video too. So hopefully you'll have lots of examples to work off of today. The way that we're going to do this is we're going to use something called the ladder method. Oops. Let me just get there. This is the ladder method. So here again, we're going to talk about these prefixes. So in the previous slide, you saw some words. You saw millimeters. So here's that milli right here. Centimeters, there's centi. I don't know if you can see my mouse. Let me get my laser pointer out. Maybe. Here we go. So there's milli, centi, deci, and then basic unit, deca, hecto, kilo. So whenever we put the word kilo in front of our units, it's become 1,000 times that unit. For example, a kilometer is 1,000 meters. A kilogram is 1,000 grams. Same for the other end of the spectrum. A centimeter is 1/100th or 0.01 meters. A centigram is 1/100th of a gram. But normally you don't hear about centigrams. You usually hear about milligrams, which is 1/1000th of a gram. And so a gram is about the mass of a paperclip. And if you guys imagine your medicine or if you have medicine or prescription, a lot of those are given to you in milligrams. A lot of that tablet is just, a lot of those medicine tablets are just some extra stuff to keep the medicine together, because you might only have a few milligrams of medicine to take. A milligram, so 1 gram is about a paper clip's worth of mass. So just imagine dividing a paper clip into 1,000 pieces, and each one of those pieces would be 1 milligram. So a milligram is really small, but you might recognize a milligram if you deal with medicine a lot. We could also use liters, kiloliters, 1,000 liters, hectos, 100 liters, decas, 110. Deci is 1/10 of a liter, centiliter, milliliter. So we can use this for lots of units. Now, one thing that I want you to see that you're not going to find in any other of the readings today, so please take notes on this, is that a lot of times, even though we might say something like kilogram, or we might say kilometer, we don't write out the kilometer. So an abbreviation, let me kind of backtrack a little bit here. An abbreviation for gram is just the lowercase g. So when we put that kilo in front of it, instead of writing kilogram every time, we just say lowercase g, lowercase k, lowercase g. Similar thing for a kilometer. If we have a meter, the abbreviation is just m. For kilometer, we just say km. And so every one of these things here at the top has their own abbreviation. So let me just kind of write them out real quick. Oops, I didn't mean to do that. Should I undo that? Sorry, I'm gonna be fumbling with the drawings a little bit. I'm sorry, guys. And you'll see some of these words go away as I pop some more stuff into the screen. So please take notes as you need to. So for kilo, we indicate that with a lowercase k. Hecto, lowercase h. Deca is an uppercase D. Then you have our basic unit. Deci, it's a lowercase d. So you see deca as uppercase D and deci is lowercase d. And honestly, we really aren't going to use deca, deci. Most of what we're going to use in this class is kilo, centi. So centi is lowercase c. Milli is lowercase m. So I know that's a little bit confusing because we already have a lowercase m for meters. So when you see m, that's millimeter. So you just kind of have to remember that, well, if I ever have a metric prefix, I know my second letter is going to be my unit. And my first letter is going to be my prefix. And that's just something that you'll have to remember when you see these units. For example, milliliter, the L is for liter, M is for milliliter. So let me go and erase some stuff because we're going to do some examples now on how to use this chart. I said we're going to do some examples now on how to use this chart. Okay, here we go. So let's say that we're given 1,000 milligrams. We don't know, well, how many grams is 1,000 milligrams. Okay, so if we look at this with the instructions here, it says to convert to a smaller unit, multiply the decimal point to the right, move the decimal point to the right or multiply. To convert to a larger to convert to a larger unit, move the decimal point to the left or divide. So we're going from milligrams, which is a small unit. So as we go down the stairs, we're going to a smaller units. So smaller units to a larger unit. So we can either move the decimal to the left or divide. So some of you might be saying, well, Mr. Reedy, I have no idea what you're talking about. Where's the decimal? Well, so we're talking about the number 1000 right now. Okay. Well, where's the decimal? Decimal is right here. Whenever I write on a number, like if I write out the number 2, well, there's an understood decimal right here. Okay. And I'm going to take that off. So our decimal is right there. And we're going to move this 3. It says I can, so we're going to move the decimal to the left because we're moving from a smaller unit to a larger unit. Well, how many places do I move it? Well, I just count the steps. So I'm trying to get back to the basic unit, which is my gram. So I'm going to go, and I'm starting from milli. So 1, 2, 3, 3 hops. So I move 3 spaces. 1, 2, 3. Sorry, that's really messy. But 1, 2, 3. Let me write this out so you guys can see that. 1000. My decimal place starts here. And I move it 1, 2, 3. Now my new decimal place is right there. So it'd be 1.00. Or if I don't really want to write it all as ones, I'll just say 1. That's a nasty 1. 1 gram. It looks like a 7. Sorry, guys. Oh, okay. There, 1. There we go. So 1000 grams is just 1 gram. And it says you could also divide. So how could I just do that with a division? Well, if I'm going 3 places to the left, again, 1, 2, 3, well, I'd divide by 1000. So 1 hop would be 10, 10, 100, 1000. So I could divide by 1000. So if I had a calculator, 1000 divided by 1000, well, anything divided by itself is just 1. So that would be 1. Okay. So I might have rambled on a little bit too much about that one. So let's just try another one and see how we do. So 1 liter equals how many milliliters? So this is actually kind of the exact opposite of what we did last time. So now we're starting at the basic unit and we want to end up in milliliters. So to convert to a smaller unit, move the decimal point to the right or multiply. So 1, 2, 3. So we should be moving the decimal point to the right 3 places. So again, we start with just 1. So our decimal place starts here. So I'm going to move 3 places. 1, 2, 3. And it looks like I'm moving my decimal point down the middle of nowhere. So whenever that happens, well, then I just have to fill in my empty spaces with zeros. So how many liters in a milliliter? Well, this is going to be 1000, which makes sense because that little m means 1000. So yeah, 1 liter should be 1000 milliliters. Okay. Let's see if we can try a harder one. Here we go. 160 centimeters equals how many millimeters? All right, so now we got 160 centimeters. I'm sorry, I had to pause the video for a second. 160 centimeters equals how many millimeters? Okay, so we're starting with centimeters and we're trying to get to millimeters. Okay, so we're moving to the right. We only have to move 1 spot to the right. So take 160 and our decimal understood. We have an understood decimal right there. And we have to move it over 1 spot. So maybe a little arrow will help me show you. Okay, so that we have to fill in that extra spot with a 0. So now I have 1600 or 1600 millimeters. When you look at these answers, one thing you might ask yourself, what does my answer make sense? So we know that millimeters are smaller than centimeters. So if we're converting from centimeters to millimeters, we should have more millimeters than centimeters. There will always be more millimeters than centimeters. So yes, this answer makes sense. We should have a slightly bigger number when we convert from centimeters to millimeters. If we were doing it the other way around, then we should have less centimeters than millimeters. Oops, that's not my eraser. Hope that makes sense. This is the part of my lecture where I would say, hey, do you guys have any questions? But you guys aren't there to say that. Okay. I'm gonna keep on going. If you guys feel like you got the concept, you want to stop and you want to start working on your own questions, you can. But I'm just gonna keep on going for those people, for that group that wants to just see as many examples. So I'm just gonna work through the last 3 examples here. So 14 kilometers equals how many meters? Okay, so now we're kind of starting with some bigger numbers. So we're starting with kilo, and we want to get to the big. I've been inconsistent. We're starting with kilometers, and we want to get to the basic unit. So we're going to be moving to the right. So we're moving 1, 2, 3 hops to the right. Okay. So we start with 14. We have an understood decimal right there. We want to move this 1, 2, 3 places. So my decimal ends up there. Fill in the empty spots with zeros. And I have 14 kilometers equals 14,000 meters. So meters are smaller than kilometers. So yes, I should have more meters than kilometers. So that checks out. Okay. Next example. 109 grams equals how many kilograms? Okay. So this one looks a little weird. That's okay. We can do weird. Just follow the same rules and we'll get there. So now we're starting with the basic unit. There's no prefix in front of grams. So I know I'm on the basic unit. Sorry, I'm on the basic unit. And now I want to get to the kilo. So how many hops is that? That's 1, 2, 3 hops to the left. So I'm going left this time. So I'm starting with 109 grams. I have an understood decimal right here. This time I'm going to the left. Again, remember, I'm converting from a smaller unit to a larger unit. So 1, 2, 3, my unit decimal is right there. Now I could write for my answer 0.109. And when you do the answers on the computer, you might just be typing these in anyway. But I always like to put a 0 right here because sometimes I tend to write really fast. And if I do it too fast, my decimal place can be misconstrued or missed. So that 0 helps people know that, oh, it's not 0.109, it's 0.109 kilograms. Look at my answer. My answer is smaller than what I started with. Well, I'm moving from a larger unit, so there will be less kilograms than there are grams. Yes, that makes sense. Okay, and last example problem. And I hope this video has helped you guys. Trying to remember how to use 2 programs at once. 250 meters equals how many kilometers? Okay, so this should look similar again because I'm starting on my basic unit and I want to get to kilo. So it's the same process, almost the same problem now, just a different number. Moving 1, 2, 3 hops to the left. I start with 200, oops. I'm starting with 250 meters. Again, there's an understood decimal right here. And I want to move that 1, 2, 3 places to the left. And I have 0.250 kilometers. And actually, I don't think I need to really put that 0 there. Just 0.25 kilometers. So that's a quarter of a kilometer. So 250 meters equals a quarter of a kilometer or 0.25 kilometers. So does my answer make sense? Well, I should have less kilometers than I do meters because kilometers are bigger. So when I go from a small unit to a big unit, yes, the number should be smaller. Yep, that looks good. So that's the ladder method. I hope this video has helped you guys. And there, again, I do suggest watching one of the other 2 videos I have posted if you still want some more examples. Otherwise, I think you guys are prepared for the practice. Let me know if you have any questions. I'll talk to you later.